Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Known by many names over the last 55 years, Sears Point, Golden State, Infineon, and now Sonoma, this wine country raceway made road course racing a thing in NASCAR, hosted the Sports Car Club of America's National Championship runoffs in 2018, and even has its own flock of sheep maintaining the grounds. Nestled into the mountains of Sears Point, this 2.5-mile, 12-turn circuit has almost 160 feet of elevation change from its lowest point to its highest, and its short straights and dearth of heavy braking zones make passing a difficult proposition when strategizing in the midst of a 20-minute sprint race. So hi everybody, and welcome to season number 9 of the Ray Esports Racing League, presented by Grassroots Motorsports Magazine, Spec Racer Sports, Common Gear, and Grass Paddock Motorsports here on Apex Racing TV. I'm Greg Ginsburg with Jack Ritchie joining me in the announce booth again this season, along with Lisa Rankin and John Robertson in that virtual production trailer, bringing you all the great views of tonight's action. And for those of you joining us for the very first time, we've got 4 different classes for you to watch here. We've got Spec Racer Spec Racer Ford, and Spec Miata, who are on track right now in the midst of qualifying, as well as 2 touring classes featuring the Volkswagen Jetta TDI Cup car in one and Toyota GR86 Cup cars in the other. And each class, they get to race 6 times over the course of our 9-week season. It's week number 3, and we've got 2 20-minute sprint races on tap for you tonight. First up, as we mentioned, Spec Miata. They're on track right now in the midst of qualifying, followed by our touring car battle. And if you're jonesing for some Spec Racer Ford action, rest assured they'll be joining us next week, and where they can draft to their heart's content at Watkins Glen International. And so, welcome to week 3, Jack, and the home of the Woolly Weeders.
Thank you, Greg. Yeah, we have a really fun couple races tonight. We talked about last week how Mid-Ohio had a bunch of elevation changes. Well, that does nothing compared to Sonoma. My goodness, the elevation changes at this track are so insane. Each corner almost feels like it's on a different plane. So it's going to be interesting for these guys tonight to, be able to survive the whole race, because as you can see also, there's grass and dirt everywhere, along with the elevation changes. So all of these drivers have their work cut out for them if they want to survive and win this thing.
That's right. I mean, this track is beyond difficult, even in a class where you rely very heavily on the draft, like a Spec Miata, or for that matter, our touring cars a little later, the Jettas and the GR86s. They're not they basically work very well in the draft as well. But here at Sonoma, the straightaways are just too short for that, and a very limited number of passing opportunities. But let's do this, Jack. Why don't we, as we do each week, pass it off to Morgan Burkhardt, who's going to give us tonight's track guide of Sonoma Raceway.
Hello everyone, my name is Morgan Burkhardt for Delta Sport US, and welcome to the 12-turn, 2.5-mile beautiful Sonoma Raceway. It flows through the hills. The elevation is just something else. The track has wonderful flow. In my opinion, one of the best drivers tracks in the United States. Coming into turn 1, steep uphill, just let the car flow through the corner, using the elevation to everybody's advantage. Coming up over the crest of the hill, the car gets a little bit light. Get wheel spin in the front wheel drive cars, oversteer in the rear wheel drive cars into the chicane section. Again, up and over the crest of this hill, the car gets super light, you get wheel spin, gets a little bit sketchy, and into turn 5, the 90 right-hander. A little bit weird entry, it's downhill, you have to brake a little bit earlier than you think you do, and then bending the car into the carousel. Again, elevation is in a weird spot, car gets really light right before you have to turn in. Gotta angle the car, keeping it tight all the way around, just maximizing as much speed through the corner as possible. Downhill on exit, so it kind of helps with carrying momentum out of the corner. And coming into the best passing zone on the track, this is the hairpin. It's an uphill braking zone, so you can brake even later than you think you can, and then making it a double apex corner using all the track, all of it, and then into the S section. Very fast, very flowing. It's very single file though, so be aware for that, looking out for it tonight. Over the curbs, over the hills, using every inch of road and a little bit of the dirt. And then coming into the penultimate corner, a fast bending right-hander. Really just throw the car in there and pray that it sticks on the exit. Grass is a little bit okay over the curb there, you don't get a 1X. Into the final corner, easiest place to make up time. Very slow, but very hard to pass, annoyingly. Coming on to the front straight, you want to get a good run out of that corner, and then you start the lap all over again, and that is a lap of Sonoma Raceway in the Volkswagen Jetta TDI Cup for Ray Esports.
And thanks so much to Morgan Burkhardt for tonight's track guide of Sonoma Raceway. He was hustling that Jetta around there, Jack. You could see, certainly with that front-wheel drive car, definitely to keep. It's a difficult thing here with all these elevation changes and off-camber corners to keep the front end of that Jetta pointing in the right direction.
Yeah, I think he picked the hardest car to do the test lap tonight.
Yeah, without a doubt. All right, so we are now just about 12 minutes into a 15-minute qualifying session to set the grid for tonight's first race of the evening. Morgan Burkhardt is your provisional pole sitter, and he just went in a direction that he probably shouldn't have gone in if he was going to complete that lap. But he is your provisional pole sitter with a time of 1:44.91. He's got about just about 0.8 of a second on the rest of the field. Miles Crabb in the number 131 machine, he's your second fastest driver. Beans Forster is currently your third fastest. You can see them there listed on the side of your screen on that timing tower. Real quick, let's take a look back, because the Miatas had their very first race of the season last week at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, Jack, in a race that I swear none of these drivers, none of them wanted to complete lap number 1. We had our pole sitter Morgan Burkhardt spin coming out of the very first corner. We had Megan Overstreet, who took over the lead, spun in the chicane, never made it to the keyhole. We had multiple drivers around, and it was, I believe, Beans Forster who was leading at the end of the first lap, with Josh Soto very close behind. That's how the race ended up, with Reed Chanabrook finishing in third. Burkhardt, who had fallen back, I think, as far as 17th position, managed to actually work his way all the way back up to 4th position, with Megan Overstreet finishing right behind. That was your top 5. And we take a look at the point standings again, with just one race in the books. There you go. Beans Forster, your current points leader, with tonight's second race of the season coming up next. Let's also, because they've got the night off, take a look at Spec Racer Ford, who also raced last week. They had their second race of the season. They also opened up week 1 at Michelin Raceway Road, Atlanta. And Morgan Burkhardt took the win over Josh Soto. So Soto finished, he was the bridesmaid 2 races in a row last week at Mid-Ohio, finished 4/10 behind Burkhardt. Chris Montgomery finishing 4 seconds back from there in 3rd, with Beans Forster just off the podium in 4th, and then Justin Huffman with Miles Crabb and Megan Overstreet 6th and 7th. And there you go after 2 rounds. If you take a look there, Morgan Burkhardt, who so far has run the table, he has got the first 2 wins of the season. He sits atop the leaderboard, now 12 points clear of the rest of the field. Josh Soto, Chris Montgomery, Skip Brock Jr. And Skip also had a bit of an issue last night during the Spec Racer, or probably last week during the Spec Racer Ford race. He finished 9th and certainly didn't help his points haul here as he falls down to 4th in the championship. So, Jack, with that, 15 minutes have elapsed, and there you go. Checkered flag is in the air for qualifying.
Yeah, and to no one's surprise, Morgan looks like he's going to hold on to the pole here. I think the surprising part is the gap. It's about 8.5 tenths. That's quite a bit here, and as we talked about in the pre-race a little bit, there's really not a lot of opportunities to pass or draft, so he might have a nice little cruise tonight, but we'll see. This track's hard.
Yeah, and he has had the advantage, I mean, with the exception of the Miata race last week, to really jump out to some early leads and be able to pretty much just walk away from the rest of the field. But the major passing opportunities are going to be coming down into turn 7, where we see right now Josh Justice coming to at the very end of the drag strip, this double apex right-hander, which then takes you into the S's, and then towards the very end of the lap, when you come down to the hairpin over at turn number 11, you'll see a lot of people trying to outbrake their competitors there. But as the clock has expired, we've got drivers on their final flying laps. We're watching now Miles Crabb. He is currently sitting 8/10, actually about 85 hundredths of a second off of pole, currently qualified second, as he's trying to beat a 1:44.91. That is the fastest time in the books from Morgan Burkhardt, as Crabb now makes his way around, and let's see if he can improve, as Josh Justice is going to come to the line just ahead. He's currently 13th, looking to improve upon a 1:46.87. He's not going to do it, and Crabb puts down a 1:46.28, and so almost half a second off of his previous fast lap, and still his fast lap. DJ Alessandrini jumps into the session here tonight. The last time we saw him, Jack, was actually in one of our FE2 machines 2 seasons ago. Came in, jumped into the car, had never raced in that chassis before, and this was here at Sonoma, and went from the back of the field to the front and took the win in, I think, what was his sole voyage and sole race here in the Esports Racing League. But DJ, quite the hot shoe. We'll see how he does tonight, as he's on his last flying lap, and there he goes as he goes off track. This last lap going to be invalidated, and Alessandrini currently scheduled to start 21st. And so we've got our grid coming up here, and Jack, if you'll do the honors, run down maybe the top 10, and I'll pick it up from there.
Already on the pole, we have Morgan Burkhardt, and starting second, Miles Crabb, about 8/10 back, as we talked about. Beans Forrester starting third, he'll be one to watch, and Ethan Overing starting 4th. Megan Overstreet starting 5th, and Andrew Rosenkopf 6th. Justin Huffman will be starting off in 7th, and Murphy Nichols in 8th. Stevie Ray will be 9th, and Deacon Greenfield will be 10th.
Yeah, and great to see Stevie Ray, the Ray in Ray Esports Racing here tonight. He got a hall pass from his employer, Southwest, probably American Airlines. Actually, I think it's Southwest Airlines. Let me get it right, from Southwest, and great to see him out here racing for the first time this evening. John Wilson will start on the inside of row number 6, driving the number 82 machine, while Tom Pendergrass will start lucky 13th, or probably lucky, not lucky 13th, he'll start 12th. Josh Justice in the 99 car, he's lucky 13 tonight, with Jim Brewster out of the Washington, D.C. area starting right next to him in 14th. Caleb Pocock will start 15th tonight with Charles Bailey starting on the outside of the 8th row. Then we've got, probably on the outside, yes, the outside of the 8th row. Then we've got Mark Sherman and Rich Green. They're going to start 17th and 18th with Joaquin Effinger starting 19th and Wayne Buttermore on the outside of row number 10. And I always say, wherever Joaquin Effinger is, Wayne Buttermore is sure to follow as they once again share a starting row. DJ Alessandrini will start 21st on the field tonight, along with Caleb Patry. That is going to be that. I think, Jack, we're going to want to watch row number 11 tonight because those two drivers, they're going to be making a move up towards the front of the field. And then we've got Jamison Huffman, who was one of our fastest drivers in practice tonight before we went on air. He didn't put in a lap time either. He's going to start 23rd with Trenton Kramer, who just received his club racing competition license just a few weeks ago. He is going to be starting shotgun on the field in 24th. And so as our drivers are making their way around beautiful Sonoma Raceway for their pace lap, let's talk about our sponsor for tonight's first race, and that is Grassroots Motorsports Magazine. Built for the true sports car enthusiast, Grassroots Motorsports has one mission, and that's to be your personal guide to the sports car world. Whether it's online at grassrootsmotorsports.com, in print or in person, the racers and builders, the car nerds at Grassroots Motorsports take you behind the scenes and show you how to make your car better. Along the way, they'll give you a taste of everything this hobby has to offer, from 1,000 horsepower track monsters to cool street cars built in driveways. And they also maintain a collection of staff-built project cars because hands-on technical articles, they're not typed behind a desk, they're scribbled down in the garage. To not only read but become part of the story, head on over to grassrootsmotorsports.com. See, Jack, a lot less hectic when we're not at Mid-Ohio.
Yeah, you had a little bit more time to get all that out. We didn't have 20 seconds. We had about 2 minutes, so... You know. Exactly.
As we've got the pace car now leading the field down through the S's. That's down out of turn 9A. And they are going to be looping around here this last final turn. And then the track's going to cut back to the right as they come behind the drag strip tower. There it is, that big imposing hunk of concrete, and make their way down towards turn 11, down towards the hairpin as the pace car heads down the pit lane. That is going to turn the field over to Morgan Burkhardt, currently sitting on the outside, but when they come around out of the hairpin, he'll have the inside position going into turn 1 and then up that steep hill towards turn number 2 as they come around the final corner through turn number 12 onto the front straight. Green flag is in the air, and we've already got the field fanning out as we've got one driver all the way to the outside, and I think that was Stevie Ray trying to get a jump on the rest of the field as Morgan Burkhardt leads the field up. Now, we remember, Jack, that last week at Mid-Ohio, real cold tires had a lot of drivers get caught out here in the early going, but so far, and I don't want to jinx it, it looks like all of our drivers are through, with Burkhardt, Beans Forster moving up into second. Overstreet, Crab, and O-Ring is just as I say that. We've got a couple drivers are off going up the hill through turn 3 and into 4, and I believe that was Charles Bailey as well as Deacon Greenfield that went off.
Yeah, I was surprised we didn't have more contact going through that part of the course. It gets very narrow very quickly. But yeah, so far, I mean, these guys are doing a pretty good job on these cold tires. This is the rough section we were talking about in the pre-race as well. So if you can make it through there on the cold tires, I think they're going to be okay for this first lap. But something I saw was Miles Crab did not get a very good jump. He, I don't know if Morgan maybe played with him on that starter, but he's fallen back to 4th already.
There you go, and he's trying to get around Megan Overstreet in that purple number 044 machine, not able to get underneath or going into the hairpin or the double apex right-hander over at turn number 7, and it is very difficult to pass through here. You can see him starting to line up behind the 044. We've got Crab, we've got O-Ring, we've got Wozencroft and Nichols as well. And a little bit further back, there is John Wilson with Stevie Ray, that gray and white number 11 machine. As now, we're going to make it 3 wide going into the final corner as the 4 machine O-Ring tries to come underneath Beans Forster, who is trying to come, and Miles Crab, who was trying to come underneath Overstreet. Andrew Wozencroft, though, taking advantage, and Wozencroft in the red and yellow number 80 machine, he gets past all of them. He now moves moves up into third place. And you know, Jack, this is a move that I have a feeling Andrew Wozencroft has made before. He's a member of the San Francisco region of the SCCA. He races a Spec Miata in real life, and this is his home track, and it looked like he was ready for that move. Oh, as we have Murphy Nichols going around at the top of turn number 2.
Yeah, he's, oh my goodness, and he just gets hit by another car. I don't really know who that is, but...
And I will see who that is. It might have been, I think it was Mark Sherman, possibly, is Sherman, and oh no, Caleb Pocock in the 88 machine, who's dropping through the field as well. It definitely looks as though Nichols' night is done. Pocock takes to the pits as well. So Nichols, who was in the top 10, looks like his first race is now done. But in all of this, we were talking about Wozencroft making that great move going down into the hairpin at turn 11. He is now fallen back behind Miles Crabb, behind Ethan O-Ring. So those two drivers, the 131 and the 4, quite a bit of speed here early on. And let's take a look here, Jack, and see exactly what happened. Well, we saw there's the end of it as Murphy Nichols was getting hit, and indeed that was Caleb Pocock. Came right into that car as we see another machine that had gone off wide there as well.
Okay, so we're riding along with Caleb here, and he's going up the hill, and it's kind of a blind corner right here. He doesn't, oh my goodness, he was behind someone, didn't even see him.
Yeah, didn't even see him, and it looked like Murphy was starting to get the car back underway to try and rejoin, and he ended up driving right into the middle of the track and right into Pocock's path. As we jump back now to the battle for the lead with Burkhardt and Forster making their way, and you know, again, Forster was our winner from the first Spec Miata race of the season last week at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Burkhardt finished in 4th. And just for us to check in real quick as we watch this battle for the lead, we said watch out for, at the front of the pack, DJ Alessandrini, and it doesn't look like Alessandrini took the start. So he is certainly not one to worry about tonight, but Caleb Patry, who is now sitting 6th in the field, he started in 22nd position, and he is now up to 6th. So the 198 machine definitely on a march, and he's making up a lot of ground right now, coming up behind Stevie Ray and well, actually Andrew Wozencroft, next car in line. And there's Megan Overstreet with our second pack there in the 044 machine. She's got Tom Pendergrass, Stevie Ray, John Wilson, Jim Brewster, Jamison Huffman, who is up 11 positions as well in the blue with red stripe number 89 machine. He's currently now sitting in 12th position.
Yeah, Megan had made it all the way up to about P3, I think, before Wozencroft had that insane move going down to this corner, actually. So she fell back a few places. But you mentioned Caleb. He just passed Wozencroft for P5. He's running about a second or so off the pace of these two right here, but he's in traffic. So once he's able to clear all the traffic and get in clean air, we'll see what happens. I'm not really sure if he'll be able to catch him. As we see the battle for the lead, these guys are heating up really fast. Beans just took the lead from Morgan. We'll see if he's able to hold him off. I think Morgan may be saving his tires. I'm not sure. It's only 5 minutes into the race.
Yeah, and that is certainly a possibility here, but it was a heck of a send by Beans Forster coming through turn 1 as he threw the car all the way down to the wall, driver's left, to come underneath Burkhardt and roll up the hill. As we've got that is I believe Wayne Buttermore, who has now gone around, and that is going down into well, now we've got another driver, and that's Ethan O-Ring, and Ethan had been up in 4th position, had made that very early jump as he went down, coming down the hill out of turn 4 into turn number 5. And that is going to drop O-Ring down to 14th position. Let's take a look and see what happens as he has Caleb Patry, who we were just talking about, coming up right behind him out of turn 4, and he just dropped a wheel and brought the car around, and Patry made one heck of a job, did one heck of a job trying to avoid, also took to the dirt. That time driver's right, but he manages to continue without losing a position as we jump back to this battle for the lead.
Yeah, he got really lucky right there to avoid that, but these two are battling really hard. I mean, they have a really big gap, but Miles Crabb has cut down that deficit from about 5.5 seconds to about 3.4. So if these two want to settle amongst themselves, I don't think they should be battling right now. They should probably wait a little bit, but I don't think someone's given the memo for that.
No, I mean, at this point, and you can see there is Miles Crabb comes around the final corner out of turn 12, and some contact there between Burkhardt and Forster as they come down the front straight before they turn in for turn number 2. And Forster now losing a little bit of pace, had to regather the car up, drops back into second place. And I'll tell you, just that little section there where those drivers are side by side and had some contact, that again allows Crabb to make up some time. That last time by, Crabb was almost a full second, probably almost a full 2 seconds faster than Burkhardt and Forster. So he is definitely coming.
Yeah, I think that's an understatement for sure. He's really moving, and I think he just wants to see these two keep battling. So we'll see what happens. I mean, it looks like the battle's cooled off just a little bit right now, but it's Sonoma, and you know, anything can happen, and it can heat up very quickly.
All right, as we have a good portion of the field now coming out of the carousel, there's John Wilson in the 82 machine. He started 11th. He is now up to 9th. Jamison Huffman about 4 car lengths back from there. There he is in that blue with red striped machine down the center of the car. Huffman now up into 10th position, having made up 13 positions already. He's got Jim Brewster in the orangish red 933 behind him, and Josh Justice in his blue number 99 at the tail end of that pack. And then it's quite a distance until you get back to Trenton Kramer as Forster jumps down to the inside of Burkhardt going through the hairpin. And look at that, Jack. Burkhardt with a lot of trouble getting the power down. As soon as he got on the throttle, the rear end of that number 40 machine really stepped out to the left.
I know, which is surprising, especially in these lower powered Mazdas. That's pretty hard to do, so he must have really stomped down the throttle. But these two continue to battle, and I mean, they battle clean, but they battle really hard. And it seems like we see these guys every single week competing for this victory.
All right, and here they go once again. And again, Miles Crabb making up some time, actually running fairly similar lap times that last time by to Burkhardt and Forster. And I think a lot of that is because, well, Burkhardt and Forster weren't side by side at all on the previous lap as they now drop down the hill. And we'll see, you know, we've said that the draft really doesn't play into the racing much here at Sonoma with these Miatas, but you know, we'll see if those two drivers, once they stay nose to tail for a while, assuming they stay nose to tail for a while, how their lap times compare to what Crabb is putting down where he is all by himself.
It's a pretty big assumption. I think that's going to happen.
As soon as I said it, I knew, well, you know, the likelihood of that happening probably not very good. As we continue to watch this battle, and we've got now just a little bit further behind the big pack here, you can see is Huffman starting to close things down a little bit on the 82. The 82 of Wilson, I don't want to say he's stuck behind Pendergrass, but it looks like he's maybe got a little bit better pace than the black number 23 and perhaps the white and silver 11 directly ahead of him.
Yeah, it looks like, you know, it's one of them things. As Trenton Kramer looks like he just went off the track. He was one of our biggest movers tonight. I'm not really sure what happened to him, but that's a strange spot to go off, almost like he went off on his own. But yeah, as we talked about, there's only really 2 good passing opportunities on this racetrack. So, man, they're gonna make a liar out of me right here.
well, we'll see. I've seen people go and try to make the move, also coming down into turn number 4 as they roll down the hill here. But getting the braking so that you can get this car to turn in at turn 4, because the descent is so steep there, is really very difficult. Most of the passing opportunities you make are much like when we saw earlier when O-ring went off wide, drivers left coming through turn 4. It's usually you're making a pass there because of somebody's misfortune and mistake, as Burkhardt leads Forster out of the carousel down the drag strip here towards turn number 7, and then we're probably going to end up having to wait until they get down to the hairpin over at turn 11.
I almost wonder if they're spotters or if they just kind of realize themselves that they shouldn't be side by side so much, because the last couple laps they've only really raced you know, really hard side by side in the last couple corners of the track, because we have some contact right here between the 82 and the 89 of Jamison Huffman.
And John Wilson, the recipient of a little bit of a door bang there from the 89 machine. The 89 is going to get back behind him. But that also, just that little act there as Huffman tried to come underneath Wilson going into turn 7, that has allowed now Stevie Ray and Tom Pendergrass to move forward. And Tom Pendergrass has gotten around Stevie Ray, so moved Pendergrass up in the 7th position. Great run for him so far, as he started off in 12th. And Huffman now tries to come down the inside of the 82 machine. He's way too far back. That was an optimistic move at most.
Yeah, and you can't accuse Stevie Ray of giving himself an advantage, because he's back here running P8 with the boys. So I mean, he's doing a whale of a job tonight. I think this is the first time I've got to see him race, so that's pretty fun. He's battling really hard, and I mean, he might have a shot at 7th here if he can get right back past Pendergrass. But this whole battle from about 7th to 11th or 12th is really crazy. So
yeah, I mean, this is classic Spec Miata racing, really just close, tight racing. We saw a lot of this at Mid-Ohio last week once we got past lap number 1. And and there's some contact as Wilson gets into the back of Stevie Ray, and I was waiting to see as Huffman would go by, but Huffman was caught up as we had 4 wide. Jim Brewster, who came out of nowhere in the 933 machine, was trying to go down driver's right. We had Huffman, we had Justice in the 99 machine, and Justice now is the leader in that little group. There as Justice in the blue number 99. He now moves up in the 9th position. Then Brewster, then Huffman, then Jack Wilson gets shuffled to the back of that pack, as looked like Huffman was maybe just a little optimistic. And just ahead of him, Tom Pendergrass takes to the dirt ahead of Stevie Ray, and Stevie Ray now retakes 7th position, as we've got just a little bit more than 5 minutes remaining in this 20-minute sprint.
Now, I promise anybody out there watching that we have really close racing, but we do not have 4-wide racing that often, so that was pretty wild to see.
I did not think you could fit 4 Miatas in that section of track. I thought it was kind of narrow, but well, I guess with all the contact, I guess that kind of proved my point. Is Burkhardt and Jack, I've been watching Burkhardt, and you know, we talked a little earlier when he came out of the hairpin a couple laps ago that he was having trouble getting the power down. The rear end of that car has looked very, how do I put it, skittish for the good portion of the evening. And there you go. There's another example of it coming down the hill out of turn number 5 as he runs wide, runs driver's left, and Beans Forster's your new leader as we jump back to this battle between Pendergrass and Stevie Ray. And Pendergrass, after taking a run through what's left of the grass here at Sonoma, manages to get back around Stevie Ray.
Now, if you're Pendergrass, do you race Stevie Ray any differently? You know, do you try to be a little bit cleaner with? No.
No, not at all. And you know, and I think Stevie will admit that Stevie is he specializes in the Spec Racer Fords, and he also dabbles in a lot of the other Formula cars as well. I think he'll be one of the first people to admit that this is not one of his best chassis. But he's going to try to keep Pendergrass honest as he comes underneath Pendergrass into that double apex right-hander. And, oh, look at this. As Beans Forster goes wide, that was coming out of the S's, going down towards the drag tower at turn 10. And it looked like Burkhardt had gone off as well. Burkhardt's going to take the lead now, and that's going to move Miles Crabb up in the second. Let's take a look and see what happened, Jack.
He's coming down through the couple of S's right here, and looks like everything's okay for now. Oh,
yeah, and he runs wide.
Oh, man, he's lucky he didn't hit the wall right here. Oh, hit the tires.
Well, so much for that luck. As Beans Forster gets a little bit of tire wall, going to do a little bit of damage to the right-hand side of the car, but more importantly, maybe a little damage to the ego as he now drops back in the 3rd position. That 233 machine having to give up that battle for the lead with Burkhardt, and now with just about 3.5 minutes remaining, just probably 2.5 laps thereabouts. You know, Burkhardt now with about a 4-second advantage, about about a 4-second advantage. I think he's just got to maybe dial it back a little bit and just try to hit his marks, because obviously the handling isn't so keen right now in the 40 machine.
Yeah, and we're seeing our two fastest drivers slipping and sliding and running off the course. I almost wonder if they heated up their tires too much doing all that battling. I mean, it definitely seems like something like that, and it looks like Beans was just not able to save it quite as well as Burkhardt was. And, well, I mean, anything can happen. We just saw both of the leaders both run off the track, so it'll be interesting to see if Burkhardt tones it down, like you mentioned, for the last couple laps here.
Now, Sonoma is not the highest grip track surface to begin with, and you can kind of see this as drivers have gone and jumped some curbs, as they do through the S's here, and maybe run a little bit over the curbs. It brings a lot of dust and dirt onto the track surface as well, so that low grip surface becomes a lower grip surface as the race wears on, and certainly making things a challenge for a lot of our racers. And Beans Forster now trying to close things down on Miles Crabb, as I suspect we are on the penultimate lap here. The next time our racers cross the start-finish line, they should see the white flag, as Miles Crabb, driver of the 131 machine, he started off on the front row tonight, had an absolutely atrocious lap 1 where he fell all the way back in the 6th position. He is now in the catbird seat once again, running in 2nd, trying to hold off a charging Beans Forster.
Yeah, and you got Beans, who's probably not very happy with himself right now, so he may be a little aggressive if he can get to Crabb, because I'm sure he wants to finish as high as possible, like anyone does, right? But he wants to make sure that he doesn't lose out on as many points as he has right now. You know, you don't think that 1st to 3rd is a lot of points, but when you have Morgan running as well as he has this season, you need every point you can get. So it'll be interesting, you know, if they get aggressive right here.
Yeah, and you know, and the one thing going for Beans, having taken that win at Mid-Ohio, he currently is your points leader in SM. Miles Crabb, though, looking to pick up all the points he can. He came into the evening with a 7th place finish, as we now got going door to door, side by side, into turn number 7. It is Tom Pendergrass in the black number 23, Josh Justice in that blue number 29, and Justice is going to give way. So put Pendergrass now back into 7th position. Justice in the 8th, Jamison Huffman directly behind, and Jim Brewster there has gotten around John Wilson. I'm wondering if maybe Wilson incurred a little bit of damage when he and Huffman had gotten together, as Huffman now gets around Pendergrass as well, as they came out of turn 10 and get under the brakes going into the hairpin.
Ooh, and oh man, looks like Huffman threw a block right there and got bumped out of the way just a little bit, but Pendergrass and him were able to be side by side going up in the finish line in turn 1, as we have 1 lap to go. This battle could be interesting. I think this is one of the better battles that we have on the track going into the last lap here.
Yeah, it definitely is. We've seen Huffman try to make a charge here, and Huffman, having started at the tail end of the field, he is side by side with Pendergrass. Pendergrass racing a B-Spec Mini Cooper in real-life club racing. Jamison Huffman both in Spec Miatas, as well as Formula Enterprises 2 Formula cars, as well as cars that are very similar to the USF 2000. Both he and his father Justin run those cars in SCCA club racing, and we'll see here. So a lot of the drivers here with a lot of real life experience. Josh Justice, a Spec Racer Ford racer in real life as well, and so we'll see here how they do as we follow Huffman, currently sitting in 8th. He's got Pendergrass directly behind as they come onto the drag strip, and Brewster and Wilson starting to close things up as we jump back to the battle for 2nd, with Beans Forster still hounding Miles Crabb as they come behind the drag strip tower, heading into the hairpin at turn 11 for the final time. Crabb gets defensive going in. He's going to take a real shallow entry, and we'll see if Forster has enough drive on the exit to make it up. But Morgan Burkhardt, he's going to come around turn 12. He's going to cross the finish line, and Morgan Burkhardt is your winner in race 1. Miles Crabb, he holds off Beans Forster for 2nd. Forster in 3rd, and look at this, Caleb Patry, who started off at the tail end of the field, started 22nd. He makes up 18 positions to finish in 4th. Andrew Wozencroft will finish in 5th. Megan Overstreet will come home in 6th. Probably in 5th as she pulls over at the end of the lap. Josh Justice will finish 7th. Jamison Huffman 8th. Jim Brewster will come home in 9th. And Tom Pendergrass will round out the top 10. Whew. Great finish there, Jack.
Yeah, those guys were battling really hard. I mean, Pendergrass and Brewster and Huffman and all those guys were racing so hard for the, for the positions at the back of the top 10. But hey, they count too. They get points.
All right, as our final drivers are coming across the line, Joaquin Effinger, Mark Sherman, Wayne Buttermore will round out the drivers on course and on still all, I think with the exception of Buttermore, all on the lead lap. Buttermore is going to finish a lap down. All right, so let's take a look here, Jack. I think we've got a couple of folks sitting here waiting in the green room. Let's talk first to Miles Crabb, driver of the number 131 machine, finishing 2nd here in Spec Miata at Sonoma.
Miles, hey, you got P2 tonight. That's a podium position. Walk me through that first lap when it didn't, go so well. You fell back a few spots, and then you worked yourself back up.
Yeah, I'd really like to know what this car is like with the, front toe where I set it in the garage. I messed up the start. We were in first gear because we all slowed down for the hairpin to make it a nice fair start. And for some reason, when my right foot went down, my right fingers pulled the upshift. So I was in 2nd gear when everybody else was in 1st. And then, going into the hairpin, I set up Megan for a pass because turn 10 was my corner pretty much all day. And I saw a red streak up my inside, and I was just like, okay, let's minimize how big of an accident this is going to be. And lost a couple spots, got them back. Finished about where I expected, about 6 seconds behind the leader and in 2nd place. So good night. It's going to be now to go race the 86.
Nothing wrong with that. What were you thinking when Morgan and Beans were up there battling really hard for, a couple laps mid-race there, and you were catching him really, really fast?
Yeah, I was thinking fight. The biggest disappointment was when Beans hit the wall. And then I had to race him. It wasn't dirty, but there was a couple times I tried to take it tight on apexes so that if he tried to cut under, he'd hit the curb, and he did that on the last lap at the top of the hill. And then just kind of stopped him in the middle of the hairpin and beat him to the line. So it was great racing with him. That was fun.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that, man. Is there anybody you'd like to thank for your finish tonight?
Well, hi, Mom. Hi, Dad. Hopefully I get to talk after the T3 race. And, thanks to Stevie for hosting this, and thank you all for broadcasting.
Alrighty, thank you. And we'll see you, and you said in the 86s later on tonight, right?
That is correct.
All right. Well, we might interview you again later on tonight. Thank you.
All right, everybody, that's Miles Crabb finishing 2nd tonight in Spec Miata, and he gets a lot of airtime here, but let's talk to our winner tonight, driving the number 40 Mazda Miata, Morgan Burkhardt.
All right, so after qualifying, we didn't think it was going to be, we thought it was going to be maybe a walk in the park for you, but then all of a sudden Beans was just on your tail the whole race. Walk us through that battle, because you guys battled the entire race.
Yeah, it was. I was very happy that I had a battle. But the interesting thing was it was like 85-degree track temperatures in qualifying, something like that, and then it shot up like 20 or 30 degrees, and I did not notice until we went out for the outlap, and I was oversteering on the outlap. But yeah, the entire race, I was kind of just trying to manage the gap back to him, make sure I could close off areas where I needed to, and just struggled the entire race with trying to keep the rear end under the car.
Yeah, we saw that, and we also saw, you ran out wide a little bit in one of the left-handers, and you gave up the lead. What were did your heart sink right there? Because you were like, oh no, I gave it up, and it's only a couple minutes left. And then you see him mess up on the same, or I think it was the same lap, later in that lap, and you get the lead right back. Walk us through that.
Well, I had to change the driving style a little bit to facilitate, staying with the front end of the car leading through corners. So I started using up more tire than I really wanted to. I used the front of the car more, and towards the end I just ran the fronts right off the car. So it was difficult to turn towards the end, and I ended up understeering off at, I think I turned 6, I want to say. I don't know, one of those corners.
And yeah, it was just like, oh, this is gonna get spicy. I don't want to have to book it to the end. This is like 2 to go or 3 to go at that point. And then I saw he went hot into the chicane, so it kind of made me happy there a little bit. But I'm happy he didn't clobber the wall too hard and he was able to continue. But yeah, I think I got away with one there.
Yeah, it definitely seemed like it. But hey, that's how it works, right? You be better be lucky than good. Is there anybody you'd like to thank this week?
I definitely like to thank the rest of the team, Delta Sport, for always being there. Brian, I think Ethan showed up tonight. He had a little bit of a rough run, but Caleb as well. He had a wonderful run from dead last on the grid to 4th. Super proud of him. But my parents as well for making all this possible.
Alrighty, well, thank you, Morgan, and we'll see you later tonight.
Yep.
All right, there you go. Morgan Burkhardt, your winner tonight in race number 1. And we've got one more coming up here tonight, and it's going to be our touring cars, our GR86 machines, the Volkswagen Jetta TDI Cup cars as well. And before we bring you that action, though, we're going to take a couple moments, take a little break, thank some of our partners and sponsors that are bringing you the Ray Esports Racing League here on Apex Racing TV, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
For it. Oh shit, 8 minutes in already. Yeah, this won't turn out well with the Jetta to the inside. And welcome back to Sonoma Raceway, week number 3 of the 9th season of the Esports Racing League. I'm Greg Ginsberg along with Jack Ritchie. And Jack, we've got our drivers out on track right now, about 2/3 of the way through their 15-minute qualifying session. This is the combined touring car group with, I think we have them listed on our timing pylon when we bring it up as T3 and T4. The T3 cars, those are the GR86 Cup cars, which I think just ran their second race weekend of the season with SRO. They were at the Circuit of the Americas, and they had their very first event of the year and their debut event worldwide at Sonoma Raceway about a month ago. So we'll be looking to see if the racing's any better or any worse here tonight with them. And then we've got the Jetta TDI Cup cars. They'll be listed on our timing pylon as being the T4 class. Real quick here, let's run down our top qualifiers for the moment. Now we're going to take a quick look at the point standings here. Beans Forster is currently your fastest driver in T3 in the GR86s with Miles Crabb, and actually Crabb just now crosses the line and takes over provisional pole for the Toyotas with a 146.21, about 0.4 of a second faster than Forster. Just how things played out a little while ago in our Spec Miata race. John Wilson, third fastest Toyota driver with a 146.85, and then Andrew Wozencroft and Stevie Ray fourth and fifth. In the Volkswagens in the T4 class, it is Morgan Burkhardt who just took his first win in the Spec Miata a few moments ago. Provisional pole time for him, a 148.01. Seth Spolman checking in all the way from Seoul, South Korea, driving the number 42 machine. He's your second fastest driver at a 149.21, so about 1.2 seconds off of Burkhardt's times. Caleb Patry in the 198 machine, your third fastest driver at a 149.38, so about 0.18 of a second or so off of Spolman's times. Jamison Huffman in the 89 car, he is currently your fourth fastest driver in class. All right, so let's do this. Let's quickly, Jack, as time is running down, we've got about 2 minutes left here in qualifying. We'll just take a quick look back at our current point standings, and this is after one race for these drivers in these cars. They were out for our season opener at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta, and in the Touring 3 class, and those are GR86 Cup cars. We had 8 drivers, and Josh Soto, who is not, I'm a little surprised that we don't see him here tonight. He is currently your points leader. He took the win at Michelin Raceway with Forster second, Crabb third, then Caleb Pocock, John Wilson, your top 5. And if we then move over to the Jettas, looking now to repeat in Touring 4, it is Morgan Burkhardt. He had that very first win of the season. Here, John, if we can move over to the T4 class. To the Jettas here, Morgan Burkhardt took the win with Tom Pendergrass finishing in second, Reed Gibson finishing in third with Seth Spolman and Megan Overstreet. Great run for Megan there. She finishes in the top 5, and that is where we stand in the points currently. John, can we throw up the points for the Touring 4 class? There they are, and you can see a pretty good-sized field and a very big field because of the special Sim-to-Track program that our Jetta sponsor, or T4 sponsor, Grass Paddock Motorsports, is running. We'll talk about a little bit about that, I think, during the race, Jack.
Yeah, and as you can see, these standings are really close, but they're not as close as what IndyCar came through 15 in the exit tie. Scott Dixon and Juan Pablo did. So maybe we'll have something like that when we have a win beside the tiebreaker for the season. Who knows?
All right, and yeah, let's we'll see if that comes up, Jack. Also, I don't know if it's on my end, but you sound rather quiet all of a sudden. So I don't know if we're having a microphone issue there or not. We'll let you know, and maybe our folks in the back can maybe work on that just a little bit. But here now is the checkered flag is out on the session. We're on board watching Deacon Greenfield in the black number 36 machine. He has not put in a qualifying time. This is his final attempt to do so, as he has had 4 attempts go off track. And he is looking to put in a clean lap here and put in a lap time. Directly behind him is Jim Brewster in the 933 machine. I don't think either of them are going to set it fast laps there as they went sideways through turn 10. Brewster calls off that final lap. Greenfield stays in it. We'll see as Greenfield trying to put in a time anytime directly behind him. I think that's Josh Justice in the 99 machine looking to put in a lap time as well. And Greenfield crosses the stripe, and he puts in a 151.91, and that is going to leave him fairly far back in the field. I think he's going to be starting 12th in the Jettas from the looks of it. And now as we're on board with Seth Spolman in the 42, Seth had been running second fastest, but Caleb Patry was able to pip him a couple laps ago. Spolman trying to bring that green number 42 machine around and wants to beat a 148.87. That would be enough to put him back onto the front row as he comes around the final corner up towards the finish line. What does Seth Spolman do? He turns in a 149.56, about 0.3 of a second off of his previous best. Looks like he's going to start out in row 2 of the Jettas. All right, so as we've got the qualifying session finishing up here, we'll have our drivers gridding up in just a moment. All right, so looks like we've still got a little bit of a problem with Jack here, and hopefully we'll have him back in just a moment as we've got the field now gridding up. And let's take a look at our starting order. Your pole sitter in the Toyota GR86 is in Touring 3 is going to be Miles Crabb. Miles with a, there we go, with a qualifying time of 146.019. Beans Forster is going to start right next to him in second. John Wilson will start on the inside of row number 2 right next to Andrew Wozencroft, with Stevie Ray and Caleb Pocock making up row number 3. And that's then Mark Sherman in the number 18 machine. He starts 7th. And Wayne Buttermore, he's going to start 8th. In your Touring 4 class, Morgan Burkhardt is your pole sitter with a qualifying time of 148.014, about 85 hundredths of a second up on his teammate Caleb Patry. Starting second in Touring 4, starting third is Seth Spolman in the number 42 machine with Michael Snow. Good to see Michael back. Driving the 077 machine, he starts 4th. Then we've got Jamison Huffman and Trenton Kramer. They will make up row number 3 with Tom Pendergrass and Megan Overstreet starting 7th and 8th in row number 4. Jim Brewster will start 9th with Jacob Schilling in 10th. Deacon Greenfield will start 11th with Josh Justice 12th. Murphy Nichols looking to get a little redemption off of that early spin in the Miatas. He starts lucky 13 tonight with Derek Marcos starting 14th in the Touring 4 machines, with Joaquin Effinger and Justin Huffman rounding out our Volkswagen Jetta TDI Cup field. All right, as we've got the pace car underway here, the pace lap underway, let's quickly talk about our sponsors for tonight's second race, and we've got two of them. Let's first off talk about our Touring 3 sponsor, that is the Common Gear, and they're your single source for securely digitizing and storing automotive maintenance records, from photos of maintenance or restoration work to scans of receipts. Users can easily catalog every piece of a car's story. Digitize or scan and back up securely in one location. Documenting your diagnostic and repair processes is as important as the work itself, and with the Common Gear, you can keep track of the steps you take, the parts and experts you use, all of the aspects of your car's history. Don't risk losing value in your investment due to lost or incomplete service and repair records. For more information, visit Common Gear at www.thecommongear.com or on Instagram at _Common Gear. Pardon me, _Common Gear. And then we've got Paddock Motorsports. They are sponsoring our T4 class tonight. Grass Paddock Motorsport provides Mini Cooper race rentals, trackside support, and coaching at tracks all over the eastern half of the country. GPM provides podium-capable rentals for B-Spec, the fastest-growing class of racing in the SCCA for 3 years running, and they're currently the fourth largest class in the SCCA overall. Grass Paddock has a unique approach where their race cars are located near the track you want to race instead of being in a centralized location, and that way you get to avoid the large towing fees. Come join us at Grass Paddock Motorsports, or Grass Paddock. It's not about our location, but about our attitude. For more information, visit www.grasspaddock.com.
I'd like to see you read both of those at Mid-Ohio in about 15 seconds.
I know. I got to slow down a little bit here. And welcome back, Jack.
Yeah, I have two switches on my mic. One is the volume for you, and then one's for me. And I had me turned down. So here we go.
Do that. We're all vain. We want to be able to hear ourselves. So here we go. We've got the Jetta, probably the GR86s, our T3 class, being led by Miles Crabb, coming out of the final corner, waiting for the green flag, and there it is. We are underway here in touring cars at Sonoma Raceway as they start to make their way up the field, and this is a renewal of the battle that we saw early on and late on in the Spec Miatas, as we've got Crabb and Beans Forster, Megan Overstreet going around the outside of turn number 2 with John Wilson directly behind, and green flag now in the air for the Volkswagen TDI Cup cars. We got the two teammates, Morgan Burkhardt and Caleb Patry, 1-2, and they've already opened up now a 4-car length advantage over Seth Spolman, Michael Snow, and Tom Pendergrass, and maybe a little bit of contact there between Pendergrass and Trenton Kramer as they come up out of turn number 2, heading down the hill, down towards turn 3, and getting very wide. That was Trenton Kramer, that was Tom Pendergrass going wide, and I think we've got Megan Overstreet coming up closely behind as well.
Yeah, these Jettas are already big and sluggish, and you bring them to a track like this, and oh my goodness, you put them in a crowd, and you're going to have chaos back here, I think, in the mid-pack. But we've seen Morgan and Caleb up here just kind of toy with this field before, so it'll be interesting to see if these two can keep it clean tonight, like they have been. I think they're teammates, so, they're pretty good at that. But I would like to see someone else go up there and give them a shot.
Yeah, certainly. Now, I'm having flashbacks to last season, Jack, and I know you weren't here with us for that, but we had a bit of a pile-up coming out of the carousel on the first lap with the Jettas last season, where I think around 15 of them ended up on the dirt bank, driver's right. So I'm just glad that we made it through one lap alive. And looks like both Jameson and Justin Huffman did not make the field tonight. They were both scheduled to race in the Volkswagen Jettas. They are only drivers that did not take the green flag, as we're watching now Andrew Wozencroft lead Stevie Ray and Caleb Pocock up the hill in Touring 3. This is the battle for 4th, currently just off the podium. You can see setting in a nice little slot between our two leaders, and Wozencroft is, and grabbing a whole ton of curb was John Wilson, and I think just enough that Wozencroft got kind of scared there and went for the ride through the dirt.
Yeah, he did a good job keeping it, off, not really off the dirt, but getting it back on the pavement. He did a good job of that and kept his position as well. Someone I see that's running P6 in those GR86s is Caleb Polk, as we see Mark Sherman go
Yeah,
off
Sherman, the
track here on
first one of our GR86 drivers to go around. He's waiting for these drivers to come out of turn 5 so he can then start to make the run down towards the carousel. And he's going to lose a number of positions, about 15 of them for that matter. Let's take a look and see what happened to him here, Jack.
So we're going up the hill right here. It looks like he maybe hit the grass, or he just gets in too hot. Oh, he hit the curb too much, and yep, that'll do it every time.
That is the common affliction with the GR86s. They have a lot of weight transfer, and you just can't pound the curbs the way you can with the Mazdas, or frankly with the Jettas for that matter. And you saw that car almost ended up on its roof. It's interesting when you run the Cup version of this course, and he just now gets things turned around. When you run the Cup version of this course, and you don't turn in there for turn 4, you actually end up going a little bit deeper to the chute, which takes you straight down towards turn 7. If you hit the apex curbing there, you will either end up on your roof or in a wall about 75 feet to your left. So at least he gets to live another lap here, as this has been a neat battle going on in the Jettas. As we're watching Tom Pendergrass, he is in that number 23 machine, the blue car, with Trenton Kramer. Both Pendergrass and Kramer drive front-wheel drive minis in real life. We've got Megan Overstreet in the 044 and Jim Brewster behind, and that was John Wilson, who was running 3rd in the GR86s in the Touring 3 class, and he's having some challenges getting back to the track surface. You know, he was sitting right between Crabb and Forster in the lead, and then Wozencroft sitting in 4th, and he's now going to drop all the way back to 11th overall, and he's got 4 Jettas between he and the next Toyota.
Yeah, I'm not sure how he ended up there. We saw some guys in practice, you know, kind of playing around with that part of the track, but we didn't see anybody actually have an incident there, so that might be interesting to go see a replay of that one. But as I was mentioning earlier, before all the incidents happened, I saw Caleb Pocock was running 6th. He's running 5th now. I think he just wants a nice, quiet race where he can just run well. He has had a heck of a start to the season, and I feel for him. I really hope that he can get a nice, clean race here, because he definitely deserves it after all the shenanigans he's been through.
Yeah, I mean, he obviously had the issue tonight where he got in the Murphy-Nichols unsighted, and then last week as well at Mid-Ohio, and he had issues, and he had, I think we could at best call his run in the Toyota at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta to open up the season as trouble-filled. It was a difficult night, a difficult open to the season for Caleb. So we'll see how he runs there. As we're watching now, this is the battle for the lead, and this is Miles Crabb in that black and red number 131 machine, and then we've got directly behind Beans Forster in the blue and yellow 231. And looks like very much like our first race of the evening, except it was a battle for second, not a battle for the lead.
Yeah, and I don't know. It's going to be tough for both of these guys, I think, to keep up this pace and not have the problems that they did at the end of the last race, too. I know it's a different car, but still, that slipping and sliding, I mean, that was pretty rough as we saw the last, 3 or 4 laps in those Mazdas earlier. So I think that might be interesting, to keep an eye on. But something I wanted to talk about, too, is in the Jettas, usually Patry and Burkhardt are a lot closer than the gap that they have right now. And I don't know if Caleb maybe is just having an off night or what, but he didn't really move up to the front like we thought he would in the last race either.
Well, he moved from 22nd to 4th, so it's not like he had a bad run in the Mazdas. I think he's still trying to get a handle on this TDI Cup chassis on this front-wheel drive car. Now Caleb Patry, not Caleb Pocock, Caleb Patry, he does run a front-wheel drive Acura RSX in the real world, racing out of the Midwest. And he's been racing that chassis, I think, since last summer. I mean, so he certainly knows the front-wheel drive dynamics for the most part here in real-life racing. The Jettas, they're a bit of a different beast, though. They've got that real low red line. They are a diesel, and you can barely hear them when they get to the red line. And whereas they've got very grippy tires, much like the Toyotas, the shock package on these cars, they're a little bit underdamped. And now we saw the huge weight transfers that you get with the Toyotas. With the Jettas, you just get to a point where the tires have grip and the shocks don't know what to do, and the car just hops. And and almost like a little pogo stick going around on two wheels. I mean, it's somewhat disconcerting if you're not used to it, and there are very little adjustments. There's very little way to dial that out of the Jettas on the iRacing platform.
Yeah, I think it just goes to show too is like when he finishes fourth, and that seems like it's a cause for concern. It's because I mean it almost is. I've seen him finish either first or second every race, I think. So, it's just a little bit of a off night for him, I think, at the end of the day, but that's okay. He's still going to be in contention, I think, for the Jetta race. Anything can happen. We saw Morgan, have his slips in the Mazda as well, so
indeed,
anything can happen.
Exactly, anything can happen, and and we saw and I kind of suspected Burkhardt was talking earlier in the first race how the temperatures had just shot up between qualifying and race time. You got this nice little battle here, Megan Overstreet, Trenton Kramer, Jim Brewster. And actually a great little battle going on as we jump back to this battle for the lead, as Beans Forster now is just about halfway through this 20-minute race, has managed to pull up right behind Miles Crabb. And he had been hanging maybe a car length and a half, 2 car lengths back, and he is right up behind him. And you can see there popping over the apex curbing at turn 2, Jack, how it just lifted up Beans Forster's car, and he just had to straighten up the steering wheel and managed to recover from it. And I think that's probably one of the bigger issues, as we talked about how these Toyotas, they don't handle the curbing very well. And I think with a lot of the drivers, they get caught out just a little bit because they've got all this steering angle dialed in when they hit those curbs, say at the apex of a corner. And when the car finally comes back down and regains grip, it still has all that steering lock built in, and it really unsettles the car. As Forster makes that move, tries to come down the inside of Crabb, going through the double apex right-hander at 7, and cannot get it done, and maybe loses a couple car lengths with that lack of drive out of that corner.
Yeah, this is one of the Miles' best drives that I've seen him. I know he finished second earlier tonight, but I mean, he's doing a whale of a job tonight, holding off one of the faster drivers in this series. So, man, he's got to be pretty elated. It's only halfway through the race, though. He still has a long way to go. But I am actually doing a league race here in the GR86 at Sonoma tomorrow night. So I'm kind of watching myself, to see what lines to run and things like that. And what not to do is, touch the grass or the sand or anything like that.
Or any of the apex curbs.
Right.
The exit curbs are okay. The apex is not so much. All right, real quick, I talked about it a little bit earlier during qualifying before we led into the race, and I want to talk a little bit more about it now, and that is Paddock Motorsports Sim to Track initiative. And this is something that is open to all of our Jetta drivers out here tonight. As we jump back over and look at this battle right now with Trenton Kramer trying to overtake Megan Overstreet into the hairpin at turn 11. Great move there by Kramer as Overstreet runs a little wide. So the Sim to Track initiative by Paddock Motorsports, it is going to be providing two drivers that are racing the Jettas this year, not just this season, but all year long, a chance for an arrive and drive package, a free arrive and drive package for them at for currently competition licensed drivers to race in a club race, whether it be the Sports Car Club of America or NASA or Grid Life. And for those racers that do not have a competition license yet, that want to move from the virtual world to the real world racing, it will give them a seat at a competition licensing school to give those drivers the opportunity to gain a competition license and then go racing. It is something, as I mentioned, that we're going to be giving away at the end of the year, and it is the criteria to win these awards or these prizes are clean racing, performance improvement, and of course participation as well. And there are going to be 3 folks making the determination at the end of the year. It's going to be Stevie Ray from Ray Esports Racing, Frank Schwartz, the proprietor of Paddock Motosports, and myself as well. So, treat me well. Don't say anything nasty in the interviews. But I think it's a great package that Frank Schwartz is putting up here. A lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of money involved, and a great opportunity for the 2 drivers who win those prizes. So thanks again to Paddock Motorsports as we continue to watch this battle, and Beans Forster taking over the lead in Touring 3 in the GR86s, and looks like Jack, as I was blathering away, looks like he's opened up a pretty good advantage over Miles Crab.
Yeah, as we see him run off right there, but he's able to keep it straight and keep it going. I wonder if he will be able to extend out that gap. He did in the Mazdas earlier, and then, had that trouble towards the end of the racetrack. So it'll be interesting to see if he learned his lesson to maybe, it was actually through this section right here. So, I don't know. This battle is gonna. I don't think the battle's over yet. I think Crab still has an opportunity to get backed up there. Maybe see what Forrester's doing a little bit. Try to follow that and go from there.
Yeah. Wow. And you can just see that the GR86s, they get a little bit more slip than the TDI Cup cars do, as Forster comes in very shallow, tries to hold off Miles Crab, and Crab was almost able to come underneath him as Forster really pushed wide coming through turn 11, coming through that hairpin there, and it's brought now Miles Crab right back up into the fight, as he's going to go side by side with Forster as they come through turn 1 and head up the hill. Now Forster's going to have position going into turn 2, and he retakes the lead, but a great little fight back there from Miles Crab.
Yeah, coming out of that hairpin, looks like Forrester just tried to get back on the throttle, and the front just did not want to turn. Oh, and he's slipping right here. He goes off the track.
Oh, and the question is, did he go around? Because I think Forster might have, he might have recovered that car, as we're now looking at Caleb Pocock in the 88 machine. Looks like he had a bit of a problem, and Forster, he did recover, but not before he lost the lead. So Miles Crab now with just 5 minutes remaining on the clock. We're 2/3 of the way through this race, or probably 3/4 of the way through this race, and Crab's your new leader. Let's take a look and see what happened.
I think Beans was just going up the hill, and he was slipping right here and hit the curb, as you talked about, and almost had it saved it, and then hit the grass again, and the left rear just came around, and he was just having a heck of a time.
that was he was on the brakes all the way through turn in. I mean, the fact that he was able to still get that car to rotate and kept it from plowing off into the dirt on the outside of turn 4, pretty darn amazing. Good save. He may have lost the position, but good save by Beans Forster as we go back to this battle. As we were talking in the TDI Cup cars, Burkhardt has now opened up, I think, a little bit over a 4-second advantage over Caleb Patry, as our leaders in GR86s, they're coming up on the back of Wayne Buttermore right now. We'll see. Buttermore, I think, has been a very aware racer, and he'll likely do what he can to get out of the way as they roll up the hill here, and we'll see if he puts the car to the outside as Crab and Forster roll through turn 2. They're not up to Buttermore yet.
Yeah, not quite yet, but this is a crucial part of the track, and man, it'll be interesting to see if Crab can maybe use him as a pick, or Forster can use him as a pick as he dives in here. Oh,
yeah,
man.
And Forster made an early move to try and come underneath Miles Crab, as Crab was stuck behind the 73 machine of Buttermore. Now Crab's going to have position as he comes down into the carousel, and Buttermore's just running his line. He took a real deep set and came across the nose of Miles Crab, but Crab might be able to use a bit of the draft here coming down the drag strip. He's now going to cut to the inside, and this is definitely the best place for these drivers to get around Buttermore. The question is, when does Buttermore turn in? Does he let Forster come underneath him? And he does. There you go. Good job by Buttermore, letting our leaders work through, and probably the safest place to do it.
Yeah, he did a really good job, you know, just holding his line and not being aggressive or, you know, doing anything crazy in front of the leaders. So he did a really good job. And you said Beans had a really good save. I think he had one of the, you know, iRacing top 10 saves of the month.
Yeah, I mean, it was very understated, but the way he kept that car and knowing the issues with weight transfer in these GR86s, it was a great way to get it back under control. As we jump now back, this is the battle for 10th. We've got Trenton Kramer in the red number 44 machine, in that Red Bull machine. Megan Overstreet directly behind. They're going to come onto the drag strip side by side. Again, Trenton has just started racing in real life in actually one of the grass paddock Motosports. Volkswagen Jetta is now directly behind, and I know we've been having trouble with his paints. Jacob Schilling in the Ghost car. No numbers, no paint, no nothing, just all white Jetta. He is currently running 12th, and he's had a great run so far. Schilling's made up 6 positions overall, and Deacon Greenfield not all that much further back in the black number 36. Greenfield's made up 6 positions as well. He started 19th overall in the field.
Yeah, most of these Jettas, it looks like, have made up a ton of spots. I mean, which is really cool to see. I mean, I know that a few of them have come from the 86s being out of the race, but that's okay. I mean, they're still mostly moving up. There's nothing wrong with that. And I mean, especially Megan, I know that she's had some wild races herself. I think she's happy, you know, to move on from Mid-Ohio last week, where she had a couple of crazy races.
She led the field in Spec Miata for a quarter and a half. And then put the car around on cold tires, and she had a bit of a challenge in Spec Racer Ford as well at Mid-Ohio for the 2nd week in a row. Here as we jump back to this, continue to watch this battle, but we've got just a minute remaining, less than a minute remaining on the clock, so we probably ought to check in to see where Crab and Forster are. They're coming down into the hairpin at turn 11 right now, with Crab leading, and when they come onto the front straight, they're going to get the white flag here, Jack. And it should just be one more lap remaining here from Sonoma. There you go. White flag is in the air as we've got one of our Jettas hanging out to the outside. I think that's Derek Marcos letting our GR86 leaders through and up the hill. And we'll see here if Miles Crab, much like he did in Spec Miata, if he can hold off Beans Forster for a lap. But Forster making it tough. He pulls right up alongside the 131. He's going to try and reverse and come down the inside going into turn 4.
Yeah, he kind of pulled the reverse move on him. I think Crab thought he was going to make a move somewhere, and he kind of backed out of it and jumped to the outside. Then he jumped back to the inside, but it didn't quite work out for him. But he has a couple more opportunities, including turn 7 up here. This could be a pivotal part of the lap to make a move right here.
All right, and we see Crab there taking that real shallow entry to the carousel, hugging the curbing, much like we saw Morgan Burkhardt do in the track guide early on, as Forster tried to take a very late entry. That forces him to driver's left, however, and he's not going to be able to make the pass from the outside, doesn't even attempt it. So as they come into the S's for the final time, it is Miles Crab, your leader. Should say that in T4, Burkhardt has opened up now almost a 7-second advantage over Caleb Patra. He's got that last lap very well in hand. Here as Crab now comes out of turn 10, they're going to come behind the drag strip tower. Only a couple chances remaining for Beans Forster. Crab goes to protect, much like he did in the last race. He's going to keep that car all the way to the inside, does not give many options, if any, to Beans Forster, and they're going to come around the final corner, and taking the win in touring cars in the GR86s, it's Miles Crab. Beans Forster will come home in second, and Andrew Wozencroft at his home track Sonoma Raceway will finish on the podium in the number 80 machine. Stevie Ray, still waiting for him. He's coming down now, but Stevie Ray should come home in 4th. Here's Morgan Burkhardt. He's your leader in the TDI Cup cars in the Touring 4 class, and he comes out of the final corner. Not another Jetta in sight, and Morgan Burkhardt his second win of the evening, assuming he can get across the line, as he's pushing. I think that's Stevie Ray that he just pushed across the line. There you go. Stevie Ray now finally comes home in 5th in the, he actually lost a position to John Wilson at the end there, as Burkhardt pushed him across the line. Burkhardt's going to take the win. Coming home in 2nd is Caleb Patry in the 198 machine. And then rounding out the podium in the TDI Cup cars, Seth Spolman in that green number 42 machine. Congratulations to Seth. Mike Snow came home in 4th. Trenton Kramer 5th. Megan Overstreet 6th. Jacob Schilling. And I think at this point, Deacon Greenfield working his final lap, as is Brewster, Justice, and Effinger. And actually, we might want to take, they're in pretty close proximity. Is there, I think they're coming down into the hairpin now. But there you go. They cross the line, and I think that is going to wrap things up. Wayne Buttermore, who we just saw there coming through turn 7, he is on. He and Joaquin Effinger are on their cooldown laps. So great finish, great battle in the touring cars. Let's do this. Let's bring in. First off, let's talk to Morgan. Actually, let's talk to. I think we want to bring in. This will be a good one here. Let's bring in Andrew Wozencroft, finishing 3rd tonight in the GR86s.
Andrew, you got a nice podium tonight. Walk me through your race.
Oh my God, I'm on. No, honestly, it was a blur, but you know, I was literally just watching Miles and Beans battle it out, and my goal was just don't spin. Unfortunately, Wilson spun in front of me. I felt bad for him, but going through 4 was a bit. There wasn't much grip. I don't know why, but the car felt a lot better than the Miata. But I'm just super happy to be able to talk to you guys and podium at my home track.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that, man. Tell us, like, how slick was it? I mean, we knew in the Miatas there was a really sharp temperature change in the track. Was that the same thing in this one as well?
I'm going to speak for everyone on the Miata. It was on ice. All of us were just threading the needle just to stay with the tires going straight. But in the 86, it wasn't too bad. I think the aero really helps. It was just really, for me, turn 4, I felt the car would get loose on turn in. I was thinking racing Greg the whole time. Last time I ran this track was with Greg in the 86. Yeah. so I'm just thinking he's right behind me the whole time as we usually battle, him and I. But no, the car felt really good. From the Jettas, I heard, it was probably pushy, right, with just the weight of the car, but overall it felt good.
Alrighty, well, congratulations on the podium tonight. Is there anybody that you would like to thank?
Definitely have to thank my first thanks my parents for watching. Thank my kids for letting me use the bandwidth, letting my wife let me be a kid for the afternoon, and thank you to our sponsors. Definitely thank you so much for letting us do this each week. To you both and Apex for putting on TV. Definitely going to put this on the highlight reel for tonight, and we're going to watch during dinner.
All right, sounds good. Well, congratulations on the podium, and we will see you next week.
Thanks, guys.
All right, there you go. Andrew Wozencroft, driver of the number 80 machine, taking home a podium. And yeah, the last time I think he raced the GR86s, he and I were pretty much nose to tail for about 35 minutes. All right, let's move now over to Miles Crabb, who is our overall winner and took the win here tonight in the GR86s.
Miles, we talked to you earlier, and you finished P2, and you had to hold off Beans, and now you did it again before the win. Walk us through all that.
It was 12 laps of the last lap of the Miata race. Yeah, no, it was great racing with Beans. I squeezed him a couple times and he gave me room, and he had to save it a couple times and I gave him room. That was good racing. This car has a very interesting, I don't know if it's a bug, but it's a feature for sure, where if you run the front bar where you need it to be to get a good turn in, it picks up the right rear wheel. So if you trail brake, you just blow the corner. If you don't do it perfect, and I did that a couple times, let him by. I thought after like the 4th or 5th lap I was going to break away from him, and then just he'd catch right back up. I knew I wasn't going to have practice for this race with the Miata race overlapping, so I did some practice last night and really worked on get on throttle early and center off drive, and it's judging by what it looked like in my mirror, I apparently did not do a good job because he was digging coming out of every corner compared to me. So, yeah, it was a great race. Last lap ended up being exactly the same as the Miata race, where just kind of protect into the uphill and then into the hairpin, get in good and deep, keep it tight, and don't let them get to the throttle before I did.
Were you getting nervous at all when you were running upon the lap traffic there the last couple laps?
Yeah, we don't usually have a lap traffic in these races. It doesn't seem like anyway. So they were nice. They got out of the way. I had to, Wayne did Wayne did nothing wrong, but there was a couple times where I was like, oh God, I don't want to send it, because if he makes a mistake, I'm punting him. So I need to just back it off 20% and let him let's get to the straightaway and I'll pass you there.
All right. Well, congratulations on the win tonight. And is there anybody that you would like to thank?
Well, I'm here again, so hi Mom, hi Dad, and y'all for broadcasting, and thank Greg Ginsburg for being my alarm clock at Road Atlanta. I meant to mention that the first time. Every year for the Super Tour, yeah, it's your voice wakes me up at 8 o'clock telling us first group come to grid. So,
well, my pleasure. Now I know I got to play those roosters more often. All right, everybody, that was Miles Crabb. Great evening for him this evening, taking a win and a second place here at Sonoma Raceway. Congratulations, Miles, and hopefully I'll see you at Road Atlanta at the Arc this year.
I don't know. It kind of just depends on how it works out. But yeah, maybe.
All right, there you go, everybody. Miles Crabb. And so now let's bring in with his second win of the evening, this time here in the Jetta TDI Cup cars, the Touring 4 cars, it's Morgan Burkhardt.
Morgan, another victory, another interview. So we thought that what you did in this race, you were going to do in the other race, and then in this race that you and Caleb would be a lot closer, but that didn't really happen. Walk us through your race, because it seemed like you had a lot of clean air.
I should probably unmute myself before I start talking.
You're signing on, and I know you're an Apex Racing TV broadcaster now, but you don't want to sign up to the Jack Ritchie School of Broadcasting there and mute yourself when you should be talking.
Yeah, no, that's probably not a good way to get the message across. But yeah, no, on the start, I gave a gap to the back of the GR field, and we got the green in the hairpin, so it was kind of awkward starting. But Caleb and I were able to get a fairly decent jump from the rest of the field, and we kind of went side by side into turn one. But on lap one, the car is allergic to any kind of rotation, so I kind of forced his hand, and he didn't really have an opportunity but to back out on the outside. And then I pretty much just pounded laps after that. I knew I had a little bit of pace on him, and I was working hard in the beginning to just break the toe, and I got pretty lucky with traffic and not really getting held up. And I know he had to give a spot back to I think it was, no, I'm not even going to try to remember the name. I am horrible with that, but he had to give a spot back, and I got pretty lucky with it, so I was able to kind of just cruise out.
Alrighty, well, thank you for putting on the show tonight in both the races, and congrats on the victories. Is there anybody you'd like to thank?
I'd definitely like to thank you guys, even if Jack doesn't talk much. I'd like to thank you guys for putting on a good stream for us. Stevie, of course, I tried to give him a little bit of bump over the finish line. He ran out of fuel, but made sure he made it home. But Stevie and Greg for setting up a great lead.
Alrighty, sounds good. Well, we will see you next week.
Yes, indeed.
All right, everybody, there you go. That was Morgan Burkhardt taking the win in the Jetta TDI Cup cars. And Jack, as we were as he was talking to you, I've been watching the replays that John and Lisa are playing playing for us, and he said that the Jettas are allergic to rotation, which I thought was a great way to explain it. And we could basically see, I mean, and he talked at Road Atlanta about trying to set the car up and doing what he could to make it rotate around the nose. But we watched this video, and there was just nothing but push everywhere around Sonoma with his car. and used a lot of, whereas we knew the GR86s had to stay off the apex curving, the Jettas were using it in order to rotate as much as they could. But yeah, pretty neat way to explain it. But let's go and wrap things up for the evening. Here, a great night of racing here at Sonoma Raceway for the Esports Racing League. And if you join us next Tuesday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, the draft this time is going to be in full effect. We are going to be at Watkins Glen International. We're going to open things up with some more touring car races, more GR86s and Jettas, and then we're going to wrap it up with the Spec Racer Fords. And the last time I think we were there, Jack, the Spec Racer Fords were 4 wide going into the bus stop. And it was, I'd like to say it was magical, but it was only magical for 3 of the 4. But it made for some amazing racing. So I want to thank, of course, Jack Ritchie, my announced partner here in the Esports Racing League, and then sitting back behind the scenes pressing all the buttons, we got John Robertson and Lisa Rankin, and want to thank them as well. We'll see you next Tuesday night here, the same time, same channel, and if you're here in the United States, have a wonderful Memorial Day weekend, everybody. Take care.